The new McLaren 750S has just been recently revealed, and today I'm going to be going over its design, comparing it to the 720S and also the 765LT, and I'm going to be showing you guys what I think about this design. Let's just jump right into it. So, to start off, if we look at some of the pictures, we have the front, we have the side, the rear, and also the interior that I'm going to be talking about. And if we look around this car at some of the pictures, we could see that this design, especially when we compare it to, say, the 720 in these front views here, you can see that this is a very evolutionary design rather than a revolutionary one. This 750S is, in my opinion, a very conservative design because it sort of builds upon what is already here with the 720S. So McLaren has basically just taken what's here with the 720S and the 765LT, and they've brought it into a new model with some slight changes that I'm going to be going over. I actually think that the 720S is probably one of the nicest modern supercars in today's world in recent times. So I think that it's perfectly fine that McLaren didn't want to go crazy and risk it just to kind of make some crazy design. Let's jump right into the front view of this 750S right here. So here we have some of the highlighted features and lines of the front end now. And the first thing that you're probably going to notice when you compare these two, the 750 and the 720, you're probably going to notice that this grille area, if we look over here on the 720, you could see that there's this like big open mouth here with this surface for the intakes here, and then also the main one over there. And you'll notice that here on the 750, this is all body color rather than having it as one black surface with these two sort of like fins right here. And at first, I'm going to be honest, I thought that this looks a little bit too much like an EV. I think that this might be a little bit too, I don't know, like soft looking for a car with a twin turbo V8. I think that this design over here, at least at first, it looks a little bit too smooth and a little bit too EV-like I said. But, really, after having looked at the car a little bit before making this review, I could say that this has kind of grown on me because we have this design over here that it adds simplicity to the 720, which is a little bit complicated if you look at it. Even though you have it all in black here, which kind of cleans it up a little bit, you do have like these fins and whatnot, and then you have like all this surfacing with the front splitter that kind of messes with it, and this line that goes up. So I think like they did clean it up quite a bit over here. I still think it looks a little bit like an EV, and they maybe should have gone for something slightly more aggressive in this front fascia area, but I still think it looks good, and I think that McLaren did a great job of kind of making something new out of this sort of same setup and layout that we have in the 720. That's pretty much all I want to say about the front view. Now let's move on to the profile, because here is where we really get to see where this car shines. It's in the lines. You pretty much have the exact same lines that you have on the 720 over here in that side view. So you have, first of all, this very recognizable fin right here that lets air out. And you'll notice that there isn't any huge like intakes here or anything. You don't have any big details that are like obstructing that sort of like smooth, like wind carved sort of shape here. The saying like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's kind of the case with this car right here. This is already such a nice design. There isn't really much that they have to change. So I think that it's pretty smart of McLaren to just kind of build upon such a great design that they already have, rather than going crazy and just adding something new. Here at the rear view, I actually, instead of the 720, I put a picture of the 765LT, because I think if we look at this rear end, it's a little bit more similar, and it has more in common with the 765LT rather than the 720S. So I included a picture of the 765LT, and as you can see, you will be able to notice quite a few similarities, starting off with this exhaust right here. So in the 765LT, you have these 4 tailpipes that are very prominent in this rear end. When this car first came out, I really liked the rear end, and I still do. I think that this is a great way to add a very aggressive look onto the design of the 720, and I think they did a great job in this car. But then you go over here to the 750S, and you see something kind of similar, except you see this one kind of shape right here. I don't really know, this kind of curved, almost rectangle shape that's kind of has some curvature to it. And if you look inside, you can actually see the 2 exhaust pipes right in there. And I would say, for me, I don't know, this is just kind of my opinion here. I wish they would have gone for something a little bit more similar to the 765LT, in which that they would have had the 2 exhaust pipes very prominent, sticking out there in the rear, rather than just having like this one sort of shape that they have. I do kind of wish that they would have just had the 2 exhaust pipes like sticking out, make it a little bit more aggressive, make it stand out just a little bit more. So yeah, that's kind of what I think about that. And the rest pretty much goes about the same. If you'll notice, you have these air outlets here, presumably to release air and pressure from the rear brake system and all that. So you have this design here. Again, you also have this in the 765LT with a little bit of a different design, and you have this more aggressive fin on this particular car. Besides those things, not much has changed. You have this active wing over here that I absolutely love. I think this wing, it sits so flush with the body, but then when you bring it up, you just have like the line of like the exhaust here on this car, and you have the taillights going up, and you have this really like flowy shape where the air can just like come out of there, and it's just it all works together very nicely, and that's what they have so well with the 720, and again in this 750S that follows on to the sort of road that was paved by the 720 and the 765LT. It's a really good evolution of the 720S, and I think that it's an outstanding design. It's a great design for this particular market of supercars, and I think that the 750S is going to join the other 2 models as being some of the best looking supercars on the market right now. That being said, I do think there could have been some very small adjustments. Like I said, I think the front could be slightly more aggressive with the front fascia, and I think what I said about the exhaust and whatnot, and just little details. Now, to kind of end this off, I want to talk a little bit about the interior, because this interior is pretty much the same, and I just kind of wanted to highlight it a little bit because I actually do like this interior a lot. There's a new gauge cluster over here for this design that I believe is also on the Artura, and it'll probably be on more modern McLarens, but you have this interior that goes pretty much unchanged other than a few other details from, here's the 720 right here. So from the 720, there isn't that many changes. On the 720, like I said, you had this gauge cluster here that was actually able to like fold up, and you would see like 2 different screens. This one's slimmer, and there was also like a bigger one if you like fold it up. And then here on the 750S, you don't have that anymore, so you have this larger sort of screen right here that, yeah, I do think is from the McLaren Artura. And not much changes, as you can see, all around this car. Like I've been saying this entire time, it's an evolution, not a revolution, and I think that's perfectly fine for this design. And I think that this is a great job from McLaren for kind of improving and building upon a design that is already so awesome and so well known, I think. I really just wanted to emphasize that in this design review. It's just that they didn't need to risk it and go for something completely new and strange and unfamiliar. And it's perfectly fine that they decided to go with something that, stays true to the 720 and the 765 LT and just kind of build upon those already amazing designs. To end this off, I think this is a very nice design from McLaren. Again, could use some small changes, but it is a very good supercar to add to McLaren's lineup. Now that the 720 is out of production, I am very glad that this will be joining in to take its place. I think that the British automakers, especially with performance cars, brands like McLaren and Aston Martin have actually been taking the game a little bit from other brands. These British brands are kind of taking over now with all these nice designs from McLaren, and Aston Martin also does some amazing designs right now. So I think they're kind of taking over the supercar scene recently. So yeah, very nice design from McLaren. Thank you guys so much for watching my design review, and I'll see you in the next video.